Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you're a student trying to pick a major, a professional plotting your next career move, or even a parent trying to give your kids some solid guidance, you absolutely need to pay close attention right now. Artificial intelligence is transforming the job market way faster than anyone realizes, and the old rules of career planning, well, they've completely changed. Some careers are actually becoming riskier every single year. Not because the entire profession is just going to vanish tomorrow, but because the entry-level paths to get into them are being completely ripped up. So today we're going to explore which careers face the highest AI disruption risk, exactly why they're so vulnerable, and most importantly, how we can all avoid getting trapped in a shrinking role.
Okay, let's dive into this with a staggering number, 73.4%. According to fresh data from the salary benchmarking platform Ravio, this is the average drop in hiring rates for entry-level roles over the last year. Just to put that into perspective, overall hiring only dropped 7.4%. So why the massive plunge for beginners? It all comes down to this concept called role compression. Basically, if you have one senior employee who's supercharged with AI, they can now do the work of 3 junior employees. So companies are just keeping the senior person and slamming the door on beginners. The entire pipeline that used to bring fresh blood into companies is practically freezing over.
And hey, you might be thinking, well, I'm not entry-level, I'm safe. But this isn't just a beginner problem. A really striking report by Gartner, which was recently highlighted in the Times of India, predicts that by 2026, 20% of companies could replace over half of their middle management roles with AI. I mean, think about that. Half of middle management in those organizations, just gone. For these companies, it's all about cutting costs and boosting productivity by letting algorithms handle things like scheduling, reporting, and performance tracking. So the real question you need to ask yourself isn't, will AI take my job? The question is, are the actual day-to-day tasks I do already being handed over to an algorithm?
To really figure out which careers are the worst bets right now, we kind of have to look at the methodology. We need to understand why certain jobs are in the crosshairs. Historically, automation went after routine manual labor on assembly lines. But today, AI is targeting routine digital tasks. It's actually going right after high cognitive brain work. If your day consists of generating generic text, processing basic data, or doing first-pass analysis, you are highly vulnerable. And that feeds right back into that role compression we just talked about, where AI handles the routine brain work and new grads get completely locked out.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. This is an occupational network map from an International Labor Organization research brief, and it shows how this vulnerability creates a massive ripple effect. Notice those red clusters right in the center? Those are the jobs highly exposed to AI, and they're sitting right in the middle of our analytical, administrative, and professional hubs. Because these jobs are so tangled up with everything else, a shock right there spills over into all the neighboring roles. So if AI heavily disrupts financial analysts, that pressure immediately bleeds over into compliance or auditing. You could be at serious risk even if you think you aren't directly competing with a chatbot.
All right, let's get into the countdown. High-risk careers, 10 to 6.
We're counting down the top 10 worst career choices you can make right now based on automation risk, using data from GradSimple, the ILO, and industry analysis. Coming in at number 10, expensive academic paths with really narrow job markets. Think humanities and pure academia. You take on massive debt for years of study, all fighting for a tiny pool of jobs. And AI is heavily squeezing the early career support roles here by hyper-accelerating research, summarization, and writing. Now, number 9 might actually blow your mind. AI training and basic data labeling. It sounds like a total future-proof job, right? Wrong. Low-skill data categorization is a totally transitional gig. As AI models get smarter, they literally get better at training themselves. It's a dead end. A much safer alternative? Pivot to AI evaluation, auditing, or safety work that requires real deep domain expertise.
At number 8, we have film and media entry roles. This industry is already notoriously brutal, and now AI is compressing pre-production like crazy. Tasks like script coverage, early editing, asset organization, boom, done instantly. The grunt work that traditionally created openings for juniors is just vanishing. It's a similar story for number 7, entry-level creative positions. AI can spit out incredible concept art, rough mock-ups, and layout variations in seconds. This puts insane pressure on junior designers who used to cut their teeth on exactly that kind of first-pass work. Simply having passion for design isn't enough anymore. You need strong human taste, brand judgment, and real storytelling ability to survive against an algorithm that generates 10 mock-ups before you've even had your morning coffee.
Number 6 is basic coding. Yeah, really. Data from Biota highlights that programmer employment actually fell 27.5% between 2023 and 2025,
AI tools are just incredibly good at scaffolding apps, generating simple code, and squashing bugs. If your only skill is writing code that someone else fully specified for you, your work is commoditized. And at number 5, routine customer support. Call center work and basic inquiry sorting, they are completely automation ready. If your job is essentially answering standard questions by looking up a database, an AI agent is going to do it cheaper, faster, and without needing a lunch break. The move here is to shift into complex relationship management or operations.
Moving right along, the countdown, high-risk careers, 4 to 1.
Okay, we are officially in the danger zone. Number 4, junior marketing. Roles that are purely about basic execution, like churning out generic social media captions and chasing volume. They are getting squeezed incredibly hard. And this ties directly into number 3, generic content writing. If you get paid to produce basic first drafts, or what the industry lovingly calls damp cardboard SEO filler, the risk is sky high. Companies that just want cheap volume have figured out that AI's good enough output is perfectly fine for them. If you're a writer, you've got to stop playing the volume game right now. You need to pivot to strategy, deep narrative research, and high-level editing.
And here we are, the top 2 worst career choices right now. Number 2 is data entry. Manual typing, sorting, formatting, this is facing total obsolescence. Yes, companies absolutely still need clean data, but optical character recognition and automated workflows do the heavy lifting now without a human sitting in the middle. And the absolute number 1 worst career choice you can make in the AI era? Routine administrative assistance. Literally acting as a human router between digital systems, doing scheduling, routing documents, basic coordination, that is a critical risk. The Bureau of Labor Statistics already projects a heavy decline here. Admins who want to survive really need to transition into client-facing roles or complex executive support that requires high emotional intelligence.
All of this points to a massive, dangerous myth in career planning. For the last 10 years, what was the default advice? Just learn to code, right? But today, that's incredibly risky. The author of the book, Don't Replace Me, actually calls this fake optimism. If you spend 6 months grinding on YouTube coding tutorials without a bigger strategy, you're just acquiring skills that have already been automated. The new reality is that you must learn systems judgment, you need domain knowledge, and you need to know how to evaluate AI output. Because when the AI writes the code or drafts the report, the human's job is to verify it, tweak it, and catch the hallucinations before it ships.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is we're going to talk about building your combination moat. So, we've outlined the grim stuff, the problem, and the careers to avoid. But how do you actually protect yourself? Well, to survive, you need what's called a combination moat. Just like a medieval moat protects a castle, this specific combination protects your paycheck. You don't need to become some elite machine learning engineer. You just need to combine deep domain expertise with AI fluency and human relationships. Think of it like this: a nurse who deeply understands hospital operations and uses AI to instantly handle their paperwork. Or an accountant who can look a terrified client in the eye and explain tax law, while the AI does all the heavy math in the background. That human-in-the-loop combination is practically impossible for an algorithm to replace.
Which brings us to this absolutely core lesson from the Don't Replace Me framework. A generalist who uses AI well beats a specialist who doesn't at most tasks most of the time. Just let that sink in. The specialist's natural advantage completely shrinks when an AI can suddenly fill in the gaps of a generalist's knowledge. But if you are a generalist who also has deep, specific expertise in one core area, and you fluently use AI to multiply your output, well, you become an absolute powerhouse in the job market. You're unstoppable.
And companies know this. They are willing to pay massive premiums for this exact profile. Check this out, 56%. According to PwC's 2025 Global AI Jobs Barometer, which literally analyzed nearly 1 billion job ads, workers who bring AI skills like prompt engineering to the table are currently commanding a 56% wage premium. And that's up from just 25% last year. So this isn't just a doom and gloom story about job losses. If you position yourself right, AI makes you incredibly productive, and employers are happily opening their checkbooks for that added value. Let's move to and see how this builds, because capturing that premium means you cannot get comfortable. This PwC data shows the skill disruption rate. In jobs that are super exposed to AI, like marketing or financial analysis, the actual skills employers want are changing 66% faster than in safer jobs. As PwC notes, core skills used to be good for 4 to 6 years. Now, they're morphing every 12 to 18 months. What does that mean for you? It means formal degrees are becoming less important, while extreme adaptability,
continuous self-education, and tech fluency are your absolute survival traits. So, to actually navigate this, I want to give you a practical survival guide based on PwC's rules for a fearless future. First, document your expertise immediately. Seriously, if you don't, someone is going to train an AI on your workflow using inferior data, and you'll be outpaced by a mediocre system. Second, actively stop doing routine information processing. Figure out how to automate the boring stuff yourself so you can focus entirely on judgment and high-level strategy. Third, map your institutional knowledge. Who do you know? What are the company's secrets an AI literally can't access? Double down on those relationships. And finally, know when to bail. If 80% of your day is just moving digital paper around, don't stay out of stubbornness. Read the writing on the wall and pivot on your own terms.
I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Look really closely at what you do every single day. Is there a version of your work that requires the combination Moat? Is there a future path where your unique domain expertise, your AI fluency, and your human judgment all intersect? If the answer is yes, then aggressively, intentionally build toward that version. But if the honest answer is no, well, it's time to map your skills and boldly step into a new direction before an algorithm makes that decision for you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now go out there and build your moat.